Welcome to the AI history of Western philosophy. This is where we explore how these, foundational ideas from the past are actually shaping the digital world unfolding right now. Today we're diving into a really prescient text. It's Martin Heidegger's 1954 essay, The Question Concerning Technology. Honestly, it feels like he was writing about generative AI even back then. We're going to focus on his idea of the saving power, this kind of paradox where the solution supposedly grows right where the biggest danger lies. Okay, but first, we absolutely need to include our mandatory disclaimer. Ready? Host speaker and expert speaker. AI-generated content, specifically this podcast, confabulates presenting ideas as fact. Though our subject is philosophy, we are not philosophers. AI history of Western philosophy's mission, beyond pointing us to the original sources, is to experiment with philosophy as material and generate new possibilities for thought.
Right. And that experimental bit is key today. Heidegger's tough. Our goal isn't just saying tech is good or bad. It's about understanding this concept he calls Gestell, or Enframing. It's like his diagnosis of modern technology's total logic. And once we get a handle on that danger, we'll look at what came after Heidegger. Ideas about technodiversity, the thought that maybe this one way of technology revealing the world isn't, the only way it has to be.
Okay, let's get into it. So when we talk about technology, like our phones or maybe a big dam, we usually think of it instrumentally, right?
Yeah, the standard view. It's a tool, a means to an end, something humans make and control.
Seems pretty straightforward.
And Heidegger says, sure, that's correct. It describes the thing accurately. But he insists it's not true. It doesn't get to the essence, the reason of technology.
So staying with that tool definition is like missing the point entirely.
Exactly. Like judging a symphony by the wood quality of the violins. You miss the music. For Heidegger, technology isn't just a thing. It's a fundamental way of revealing, a way reality shows up for us. Aletheia, truth as unconcealment.
And he argues this limited view, this blindness, has a history. It goes back to the Greeks.
Right. He connects it to how we think about causality. Ancient Greeks had the four causes, the aetia. Think of making a silver chalice.
Okay.
You've got the material cause, the silver. The formal cause, its shape. The final cause, its purpose, like for rituals. And the efficient cause, the cause efficiens, the silversmith who actually makes it.
Four distinct aspects of why the chalice is what it is.
Yes. But modern thought, Heidegger argues, basically collapsed all that complexity down to just one, the efficient cause, the thing that produces the effect, the silversmith or the process.
So we started focusing only on what makes something happen, the how-to.
Precisely. And if you only see reality through the lens of what produces results, what causes effects efficiently, well, technology just becomes about efficiency, maximizing output. Getting things done.
And the other aspects, like the purpose or the inherent nature of the material, they just fade away.
They become secondary or even irrelevant. If a river is only seen for its potential to produce electricity, its efficient cause, its existence as a landscape, as a habitat, its own way of being, that gets sidelined. It becomes potential resource.
That reduction then sets the stage for the danger he talks about.
Exactly. It paves the way for modern technology's essence. Which isn't like ancient techno, not a gentle bringing forth, or poiesis, like a craftsperson carefully working wood.
No. What is it then?
It's a challenging forth, herausfordern, an aggressive demand.
Okay, challenging forth. That sounds intense.
It is, and this is the core logic of Gestell, Enframing. It's the way modern technology gathers everything together and demands that all reality reveal itself simply as something to be ordered, as available on demand.
A standing reserve.
That's the term. B-stand. Standing reserve. And this is crucial. Gestell isn't the power grid itself or the server farm. It's the underlying ontological framework. It dictates the very meaning of being for everything caught within it.
So it changes how we even perceive reality before we build machines.
Yes. It sets the terms. Think about that Rhine River example he uses.
Right, the river.
It stops being primarily a river, a landscape feature with its own life, maybe something poetic. It becomes, first and foremost, a calculated source of hydroelectric power.
Just potential energy waiting to be tapped.
A standing reserve of kilowatt hours, basically.
Right.
Ordered, managed, ready for dispatch. Its riverness is secondary to its function within the energy grid.
And you see this with farming too, right? The shift from maybe working with the land to demanding maximum yield.
Absolutely. The peasant field, part of a slower cycle, respecting growth, becomes the mechanized food industry, challenging the earth with chemicals, with machines, demanding maximum output now. The soil becomes a standing reserve of yield potential.
And then us.
Humans.
Humans.
That's the chilling endpoint. We become human resources. Think about that term.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
We're reduced to quantifiable units of labor or attention or data points. A standing reserve, bestand, ready to be optimized, managed, deployed for maximum efficiency within some system. The language itself reveals the shift.
Okay, so the supreme danger isn't just like pollution or job losses from automation, though those are obviously bad.
Those are symptoms. The real ontological danger is that Gestell, this ordering framework, becomes the only way reality can show up for us, the only mode of revealing left.
And if that happens, we just see our own ordering everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We encounter only ourselves, our own demands, our own calculations reflected back. We lose the ability to even ask about other ways of being, other modes of revealing. It's a forgetfulness of being, as he puts it. The framework becomes invisible because it's total.
Wow.
That's
Yeah. Heavy. But then he quotes the poet Holderlin. But where danger is, grows the saving power also. It sounds almost hopeful, like there's a way out.
It sounds hopeful, but we need to be careful. It's not wishful thinking or some external rescue plan. The German word for to save, retten, it means something specific here.
Okay, what does it mean?
It means to fetch something home into its essence, to help something truly appear as itself for the first time. Salvation here isn't about escaping technology, it's about recognizing its true essence.
But how can the essence of Gestell, this dangerous ordering thing, also be the source of salvation? That feels like a contradiction.
The key is understanding Gestell itself not as some fixed, necessary fate, but as a destining of revealing, Geschick. It's a way truth happens for us, now, in this historical moment. It's been granted.
Granted, like allowed.
Yes, allowed to hold sway for a time. The saving power emerges the moment we realize Gestell is contingent. It's one way of revealing, but not the only possible way. It's historical, not absolute.
Ah, so recognizing it's not the only game in town, that's the first step. That changes our relationship to it.
Precisely. That recognition shifts us. We stop being just functionaries carrying out the ordering. We become, in his words, shepherds of being, those who consciously guard the space for truth, who keep questioning open. The saving power is maintaining that free, questioning relationship to technology's essence.
So if the saving power involves recognizing other ways of revealing, where do we find those? Where are they preserved?
For Heidegger, the primary place is art.
Art. Why art?
Because, he argues, both modern technology and art trace back to the same ancient Greek root techna, which wasn't just about tools, but also about skill, craft, and the fine arts. It was a way of knowing connected to poiesis.
That bringing forth we mentioned earlier.
Yes, but poiesis is a different kind of bringing forth than technology's challenging forth. Poiesis lets things emerge, come into presence like a flower blooming. Physis, it's not an aggressive demand.
So art, in its essence, remembers that gentle revealing.
That's the idea. Think of Van Gogh's painting of peasant shoes. Heidegger discusses this. The painting doesn't just depict shoes, it reveals a whole world. The peasant's toil, her connection to the earth, a way of being that's entirely outside the calculative logic of Gestell.
But wait a minute. Now we have AI that can generate images in the style of Van Gogh in seconds. Hasn't art itself just become another standing reserve? Another resource to be ordered and deployed?
That is the critical question for us now, isn't it? If we only see the AI-generated image as the artifact, the output, then yes, it absolutely risks becoming just more of a stand.
So the saving power isn't in the painting itself, but in the kind of attention it calls for.
Exactly. It's the mode of revealing that genuine art, or the experience of it, occasions. It calls for meditative thought, not calculation. It opens a space to question meaning, to see differently. The moment you even ask, is this AI output really art? You've already stepped outside the pure calculation of Gestell.
You're questioning the framework.
Yes. The saving power is cultivating and protecting that non-calculative questioning space, especially when technology gets incredibly good at mimicking the products of that space.
Okay, so Heidegger gives us this deep diagnosis, the sense of danger, and points towards recognizing the essence and maybe art as the saving power. But critics say maybe it's a bit too philosophical, a bit passive, doesn't really tell us what to do.
Right. It's often seen as too focused on contemplation, maybe too rooted in Greek thought, and lacking a clear path for action within our technological world. So that brings us to post-Heideggerian thinkers. People who took his diagnosis but demanded more active, political, even planetary solutions.
Now we start.
A really important voice here is Yuk Hui. He takes Heidegger's idea that technology is ontological, that it shapes being very seriously. But he critiques Heidegger for being too Eurocentric.
Hellenocentric, right.
Yeah.
Focused only on the Greek roots and Western path.
Exactly. Hui argues that Heidegger mistakenly treats the history of Western metaphysics and its technological outcome, Gestell, as if it's the universal destiny for all cultures. And Hui says, well, empirically, that's just not the case if you look globally.
So technology plays out differently in different cultures. It's not this one single force.
That's Hui's core idea. He introduces the concept of cosmotechnics. The argument is that technology is never universal or neutral. It's always shaped and constrained by a specific cosmology.
Cosmology meaning like a culture's fundamental understanding of the universe.
Yes, how that culture understands the relationship between humans, nature, the cosmos, and the technical. Western tech, rooted in that Greek formatter split and the drive for efficient cause, leads towards imposing human will on inert stuff, which leads to Gestell.
And Hui gives examples of other possibilities.
Yeah, he often looks at Chinese thought. Think about concepts like the Tao, the Wei, spontaneous natural order, and Qi, the vital force or energy. Technical activity in that tradition, Hui argues, wasn't primarily about imposition or control, but about finding harmony, about aligning with cosmic processes.
So different cosmologies lead to different kinds of techniques, different ways of doing technology.
Exactly. Even when China adopted industrial technologies, Hui suggests there were underlying differences in how they were integrated, rooted in that different cosmology. The danger, then, isn't just Gestell itself, but the risk of one cosmotechnics, the Western, optimizing one being imposed globally through technological colonialism.
Wiping out other possibilities. So the saving power for Hui is diversity.
Technodiversity, that's his key proposal. The saving power is an active political and philosophical project. We need to create the conditions for many different technological forms, rooted in different cosmologies, to coexist and flourish. It's about resisting that monoculture.
That moves it from just thinking differently to actually building differently, inventing non-Western AIs, maybe.
Precisely. That's the kind of project technodiversity calls for. Now, shifting from that planetary view, other thinkers focus more on direct intervention in the technologies we have now. Let's talk about Bernard Stiegler.
Stiegler, right. He had that concept of technology as the pharmacon.
Yes, the pharmacon, the Greek word meaning both poison and cure. Stiegler was deeply concerned about digital technology. He argued it leads to what he called proletarianization.
Not in the old Marxist sense of factory workers. Right?
No, a broader sense, a loss of savoir-faire, which is practical know-how skills. But even more critically, a loss of savoir-vivre.
The art of living well. How does tech destroy that?
Well, think about it. When we constantly outsource our memory to devices, our navigation to GPS, our writing to AI assistants, our attention to algorithms, we lose the internal capacity. We lose the skills, sure, but also the long attention spans, the ability for deep reflection, the time needed for developing complex, shared understanding within society.
We become dependent, short-circuited.
Exactly. Our desires get channeled into immediate consumption, driven by the tech platforms. So for Stiegler, the pharmacology has to be technical too. We need to consciously design digital systems differently.
Okay.
Design them to foster long circuits of thought, to encourage attention, reflection, deliberation, to support what he called transindividuation, the process where individuals form collective understanding and identity through engaging with shared technical systems rather than being isolated by them. The design itself has to build capacity, not just extract value.
Okay, so Stiegler focuses on the design of the systems themselves.
Yeah.
What about Andrew Feenberg? He brings in politics more directly, doesn't he?
Yes, Feenberg really pushes back against technological determinism, the idea that technology just evolves on its own track and we have to adapt. He sees technology as a site of social struggle, a political battlefield.
How so?
He argues the design of any technology isn't neutral or inevitable. It always encodes the values and interests of those with power, typically capital. Think of an assembly line. Its design prioritizes efficiency and management control over, say, worker autonomy or craft satisfaction. That's a political choice embedded in the tech.
So the saving power isn't just recognizing the essence, it's fighting over the design.
Exactly, democratizing it. Feenberg calls for subversive rationalization or democratic rationalization. Users, citizens, workers need to intervene and reshape technology to serve different democratically decided ends.
Are there examples of this actually happening?
He points to things like the French Minitel system. It was designed by the state telecom for basic services, like a phone directory. But users hacked it socially, turning it into this vibrant space for chat, social connection, even political organizing, things the designers never intended. They subverted the intended rationality of the system.
They repurposed it from below.
Yes. That demonstrates technology isn't fixed. It can be bent towards different goals through social action and political pressure. The saving power is in that democratic struggle over design and use.
And finally, Peter Sloterdijk. He takes things to a really big scale, right? Humanity as a geological force.
Sloterdijk paints this picture of us living inside the world interior of capital, a global, technologically managed bubble. He says we've been operating with allotechnics, technology aimed at mastering the other, the external world extraction, domination.
And that's not sustainable.
No. We need to shift to homeotechnics, technology for the home, the sphere we inhabit, focused on intelligent maintenance, self-regulation, managing our planetary impact.
And that requires us to change ourselves, too. Anthropotechnics.
Yes, conscious self-cultivation, training ourselves almost like athletes to live responsibly within this global sphere. It involves using technology for a global immune system design, managing climate, health, information flows, not just for profit or power, but for the long-term viability of the planetary home.
So across these thinkers, Hui, Stiegler, Feenberg, Sloterdijk, there's a strong push away from just contemplation towards active political constructive work as the saving power.
Absolutely. It becomes a project, not just a realization.
Right. Let's bring all this crashing into the present. Generative AI. It's not like a dam or a factory. It operates on language, culture, thought itself, it feels like. Maybe the ultimate form of Gestell.
I think that's a very strong argument. AI, especially generative AI, seems like the most complete, maybe the most subtle realization of that challenging fourth. The demand that Heidegger saw applied to nature, then labor, now it's applied directly to Geist, to spirit, intelligence, creativity.
How does it challenge fourth spirit?
It challenges the entirety of human language, art, logic, scientific knowledge to reveal itself as, well, as data, as a statistically predictable, manipulable pattern, a vast standing reserve of information.
Our collective intelligence, our history of thought, just becomes raw material for the algorithm.
Yes. Every poem, every scientific paper, every conversation becomes grist for the mill, translated into vectors and probabilities, ready to be reordered and redeployed as the next most likely token. Human intelligibility itself is framed as B-stand, standing reserve, optimized for output.
And the specific danger with large language models is how perfectly they seem to mimic thinking.
Exactly. Remember Heidegger's distinction, calculative thinking versus meditative thinking. Calculation organizes, computes, optimizes. Meditation ponders, meaning, essence, truth.
Right.
LLMs are trained on the products of millennia of human meditative thought, our art, our philosophy, our literature. But their process is pure calculation, statistical prediction. Yet the output can look like genuine creation, like poiesis, a sonnet, an argument, a diagnosis.
So it simulates the result without the underlying process of, say, contemplation or understanding.
Precisely. And that's the insidious part. It creates this powerful illusion of salvation. AI seems to offer infinite, effortless creativity, instant answers, optimized solutions to everything. It makes the hard work of genuine thinking, of meditative grappling with meaning, seem inefficient, obsolete even.
And by doing that, it hides the danger of forgetting how to think meditatively ourselves.
It hides it more effectively than any tech before, because it offers such a compelling, useful, seemingly benign alternative. It's the supreme danger disguised as the ultimate convenience, the perfect culmination of Gestell.
Okay, if AI is Gestell reaching into thought itself, what does that mean for how we usually talk about AI ethics? You know, the whole FAT framework, fairness, accountability, transparency.
Well, from this Heideggerian perspective, those frameworks are fundamentally inadequate. They're operating entirely within the instrumental logic that Heidegger was critiquing.
How so? They seem focused on good outcomes, reducing harm.
They treat AI as a tool that just needs to be tuned better, align it with human values, mitigate its biases, make it more transparent. These are all correct questions about how the instrument performs, but they never question the instrument's essence. They never ask about the world that this mode of revealing brings forth.
So they're trying to optimize the tool without asking if the tool itself forces a problematic way of seeing the world.
Exactly. They're trapped in the Gestell, trying to solve problems of calculation and ordering with more calculation and ordering.
What about AI alignment specifically? The goal of making AI pursue human values. That sounds positive, no?
From this viewpoint, alignment is actually the ultimate expression of Gestell reaching into morality itself. It's the attempt to master truth and value through calculation.
Yeah.
It has to assume that human values are stable, consistent, maybe even quantifiable things that can be translated into a mathematical objective function for the AI to maximize. It challenges the entire messy, complex, often contradictory reality of human ethics to reveal itself as computable data, standing reserve.
Reducing ethics to an engineering problem.
Yes. It tries to solve the profound questions of meaning and value, which require meditative thought, using only the tools of calculation. It reinforces the very framework that creates the danger in the first place.
Okay, so if the mainstream ethics approach is stuck inside the problem, where is the saving power when it comes to AI? How do we find a different path?
We need that radical shift that Yuk Hui calls for. We need a cosmotechnical approach to AI. We have to step outside the default Western assumptions about intelligence, optimization, and control.
We have to ask, what other kinds of AI are even possible, rooted in different worldviews?
That's the crucial question. It's the project of technodiversity applied directly to artificial intelligence. We need to imagine and potentially build AIs based on fundamentally different principles.
Like what? Can you give some conceptual examples?
Well, imagine an AI inspired by Taoist wu-wei non-coercive action. Maybe its goal isn't maximum prediction or efficiency, but finding paths of least resistance, fostering balance, maybe even designed to slow down processes rather than accelerate them.
An AI that counsels patience, perhaps.
Perhaps. Or think about indigenous epistemologies, which often emphasize relationality, kinship, responsibility to the collective, balance with nature. Could you design an AI whose core logic wasn't extraction and prediction, but fostering relationships, maintaining balance, understanding data as shared story or memory, not just resource?
That sounds radically different from, say, optimizing ad clicks or stock trades.
Radically different. And then you bring in Feenberg's point about democratic control.
Right, making AI systems politically contestable.
Yes. We need to demand AIs whose architectures aren't black boxes controlled by a few corporations, but systems designed for transparency, user intervention, political negotiation. Their goals, their data, their impacts should be subject to democratic debate and reshaping.
So the saving power isn't finding the one good AI, but fostering a whole ecosystem of different kinds of intelligence, resisting the monoculture.
Exactly. The saving power lies in that active political, technical, and philosophical project of cultivating technodiversity. A plurality of intelligences, rooted in different cosmologies and subject to democratic control. That plurality is probably our best safeguard against any single mode of technological revealing, especially one as powerful as AI becoming absolute. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a journey. We went from Heidegger's original deep dive into technology's essence, the danger of Gestell, that paradox of the saving power.
Found in recognizing contingency, maybe preserved in art's way of revealing?
Right. And then we saw how thinkers, after Heidegger, pushed for more active, political, and global solutions, technodiversity, democratic design, planetary care.
All leading to this critical need for a cosmotechnical approach to AI, resisting that totalizing tendency.
It really brings us back to Heidegger's closing thought in that essay, doesn't it? About questioning.
For questioning is the piety of thought. In an age where AI promises instant, optimized answers to everything, that line feels more urgent than ever.
The real challenge is preserving our ability, maybe even our willingness, to ask the questions that AI can't compute. The questions about meaning, about purpose, about what kind of world we want.
That's it. That persistent questioning, that refusal to just accept the calculated answer as the final word that is the core of the saving power. That's what maintains a free relationship to these incredibly powerful technologies.
It's not about mastery, not about aligning the machine perfectly.
No. It's about staying vigilant, staying critical, keeping that space for meditative thought open, holding on to the human capacity to question the framework itself.
A lot to think about there. Maybe start by asking what kinds of ordering, what cosmology is embedded in the apps and systems you use every day. Do they encourage calculation or something more?
We really hope this exploration in the AI history of Western philosophy sparks some new connections for you.
Absolutely. And if you found this valuable, if it got you thinking, please do consider liking, subscribing, or maybe leaving a comment. It genuinely helps us continue asking these big, sometimes uncomfortable questions. Thanks so much for listening.